Hi, welcome back to Smoking Cheltenham. Bit of a bonus video for you. And yeah, I just thought it was such a good meeting, weren't it, Aintree? It really were. Thought it was top quality, some class racing, and there's it sort of left us with plenty of talking points. So I thought it was worth doing a video. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. So we'll just have a spin back through some of the races. I've been very selective and haven't gone into much depth in the races themselves. I'll just really sort of let you know what I took from it anyway. Just before we do that, yeah, we did ante-post roundup last time, didn't we? I forgot one. I forgot a special one. How could I do that? But yeah, we'd got a point on him for the stays at 33s, haven't we? And yeah, just looking forward, I had a little ante-post bet for the 365 chase, so I'll let you know that at the end of the video as well. So we'll go to Thursday then. 3 mile grade 1, 3 mile 1 grade 1 bowl. Jerry Colomb beat Hoy Senior half a length with Corbett's Cross, another 2 1/4 lengths back in third. You know I love Jerry. I love this horse. He's tough, isn't he? And he's got this fantastic attitude he has. He really puts his head down and runs to the line, and you got to love that in a horse. Yeah, good performances. Just, on the heels his big run there in the Gold Cup. We were tough to back up here. And he's a live player in the Gold Cup next year. He's got to be. He was only a few lengths behind Galloping, weren't he? And you'd imagine Jerry would be at the peak of his powers next year. Galloping, maybe we're at the sort of peak of his powers this year, I think. So that, and he wasn't lucky not to get closer. So he's going to give Galloping plenty to think about, isn't he? He's a big contender. Corbett's Cross, I thought this were a cracking run for a novice. This in against the big boys here. He's got beat less than 3 lengths. Yeah, that's a cracking run. That again, coming on the heels of Cheltenham. He was backing up as a novice, 3 mile 6 on every. Yeah, this were a big run, this, and he's got to be a kind of Gold Cup contender too. He's got so many anti-JP. You'd imagine 1 or 2 might get put away for the national, but it's hard to say which ones at the minute, because I think until they prove they're not up to Gold Cup class, then you've got to treat them as such, haven't you? And maybe the ones that disappoint a shade on the first runs next year, they may become more Grand National horses. We'll see. But yeah, big run this, I thought. Yeah. The 2.5 mile grade 1 Aintree hurdle. Yeah, I've not had a bet in this race. In fact, my only bet, I told you, didn't I? My only bet the first day with Jerry, but this was a fantastic race to watch. I really enjoyed this. Personally, I'd have loved it if Bob had got there. I thought he had as they went past the line. Well, a bit of a soft spot for Bob, but he was maybe unlucky not to get in the steward's room. I don't know. Maybe he were. It was a fantastic race to watch. Para Pass. He's a 160 rated hurdler going novice chasing next year, I presume. He's the obvious one for the Arkle. He is. I mean, the sort of 20s, maybe 25s even. There's certainly 20s before this. It's 14s now. That still looks more than fair. I don't know why. I'm just not quite sure about him. I'm not in love with his attitude, He's not like Jerry, is he? He don't, you know. I'm not convinced with him after the last, and he didn't do much here to help in that regard, did he? He looked like he was going to win it well, and he just clung on in the end. He didn't like front running last time, did he? But even so, he really spat the dummy out, didn't he? He has got some attitude about him, this horse. But he could get away with it in novice company. Back in novice company next year, he brings very high class rating, doesn't he, to novice chasing. He is the obvious one for the Arkle. We don't know how they jump. I don't know why. You know, he didn't go chasing this year. It was the obvious thing to me. Yeah, I couldn't put you off backing this fella for the Arkle. He's the kind of, on paper, he's the one, isn't he, really? So Gino, I don't think he'll be meeting him in the Arkle. Listening to Nicky, it sounds like he's staying over hurdles. Yeah, he did it well here. Probably is the standout juvenile this year. He just didn't get a show it, did he, at Cheltenham? But this was good. And yeah, over hurdles, it's going to be hard for him in it next year, let's be honest. Against, like, the Constitutional, Lossiemouth, possibly a Ballyburn, State Man. You know, he's got it all on against them sort of horses, hasn't he? But when he does go over fences, he's going to make a cracking chaser, isn't he, anyway? Friday. 3 mile 1, grade 1 Mildmay novice chase. JP, again. This was like JP's meeting, weren't it, really? I know the way you're thinking. Beat Irocco, 4 length with Hartwood, a further 1 1/4 length back in third. They went a decent clip here on the ground, didn't they? And they got racing a fair way out. It turned into a test, a real test, which really suited I know the way you're thinking, and he took the step up from handicaps to grade 1 company in his stride. His jumping again were a little bit sticky, weren't it? But he was so impressive after the last, weren't he? He's so powerful to the line, this horse. He's only a 6-year-old still, and yeah, he's got to be another Gold Cup contender, hasn't he, for JP? We'll have to just brush up on that jumping a little bit, but you know, we've seen that can happen. Corbett's Cross were the same, and some horses are like slow learners, aren't they? But they do get there. Even I'd say Jerry Colom's jumping's got quicker through the season, like, you know. I think he jumps quicker than he did as a novice, you know. So yeah, he's another player for the Gold Cup, for the green and gold. Irocco, yeah, he went outpaced 2 out and stayed on again after the last. He's had a funny old season, hasn't he? He's had a bit of a sort of truncated season. As such, there should be more to come from this horse next year, I think, if they get a clear run with him next year. He looks really interesting for the Hennessy. I think Connections mentioned that race. Yeah, he'd look a good contender for that. I'd like him for that. He was rated 149 coming into this. Looking, he may get bumped up a few pounds for this. So I know the way you're thinking. I think we're 158. He's gone down by 4 lengths to him. So yeah, he may get a few for this, but if he's like, you know, sort of low to mid 150s, yeah, he could be real interesting for Hennessy, I think. he might be. It tends to be a race the price up pretty early, and with connections mentioning that for him, he might be one to sort of. I'd imagine he'll be putting sort of 12-1 joint favourite or something first show. He might be worth a small little bet there, you know. I'd be interested in him for that. Hartwood, he travelled best. He was travelling best 2 out here. Maybe didn't quite get home in the conditions. It were a test at 3-1 this. He looks, yeah, he kind of stayed it, but not quite, did he? He'd probably get 3 mile on decent ground round a sort of quick track, but yeah, he probably ideally just wants to drop in a slightly in trip. He could be kind of hard horse to place now, I think. But he ran well here, he did, and he's still only, you know, had 4 or 5 runs. He's entitled to improve. The Grade 1 then, the 2 mile Grade 1 top novice hurdle. Yeah, Mystical Power beat Firefox half a length here. They weren't really a third, were they? Yeah, brilliant race riding from Jack this on Firefox. He sort of forced Paul into committing earlier than he wanted to here. But he did well. He sort of toughed it out and hung on from Firefox. He's got a real turn of foot, this horse, hasn't he? And I don't think we've seen him at his best on the like softer ground. You'd imagine he'd be quite exciting on decent ground, like, you know, when he can use that turn of foot to best effect. He doesn't really look that much like a chaser. He could be sort of champion hurdle bound, and he might, you know, against them sort of big boys, he might be struggling a little bit as well next year. Firefox, though, he does look all over a chaser, don't we? I know we banged on about this all season, but he does. Yeah, he got a bad sort of run through in the Supreme. He got much closer to Mystical Power. He does look all over a chase. He's got to be a big Arkle contender next year. He has. Yeah, I like him. Two and a half mile Grade 1 Melon Chase, John Bon. JP day, weren't it? JP meeting, really. John Bon beat Conflated just over length here with Protectorate, another length and a quarter back in third. Yeah, he showed his class here, really. He looked the one for this race, and this opens up options for him now, doesn't it? He's looked a while like, you know, 2.5 would benefit him, and it certainly didn't harm him. I don't think we'll be seeing him. He's got that many JP ante for the Gold Cup that I think this guy will be more, you know, 2 mile or 2.5. They'll see how it kind of unfolds. But yeah, he's going to end up in the champion chase or Ryanair in next year. Yeah. Class horse, top class horse, isn't he? I mean, you just look at his form. He's, you know, yeah. Stack of Grade 1 wins. I don't think Cheltenham's quite his track. But yeah, it's a class horse. 3 mile Grade 1 Sefton novice hurdle. Dancing City beat the Jukebox Man 5.5 lengths here. This turned into a bit of a slog on the ground, and they finished tied, these novices. Maybe apart from the winner who won it well. I think many, though, underperformed it. Dancing City, yeah, he took it well. He just don't do it for me. You know, he just don't, you know, sometimes they don't, do they? But you can't knock him on this. The Jukebox Man, he ran a brave race here. You know, Cheltenham had to have knocked the edge off him a little. He's going to make a lovely chaser next year. He is. He's kind of going to be maybe the big English horse for the Browns next year. Although I wouldn't write off Shanna Bob just yet. But yeah, he's very genuine, isn't he? He's sort of ran well again here after that tough race at Cheltenham. He's going to take some beating in the English novice chasers next year. And last I looked anyway, I did check yesterday, I think 25-1. That looks more than fair for the Browns, it does. I won't put you off. Shanna Bob, this was his first run since December, weren't it? He's had a funny season too. I think he had an hold up after that run in December, didn't he? Obviously had to skip Cheltenham. I put a line through this, he's better than this, he is. And the same goes for Croke Park, really. You know, I think he's just done enough for the year now. Yeah, they should both make lovely chasers. Should make cracking chasers next year. Saturday then. 2.5 mile, Grade 1 Mersey novice hurdle. The brighter days ahead. Beats Staffordshire, not 7.5 lengths here. I mean, just wow. She looked good, didn't she? Granted, it didn't look much of a Grade 1, this, did it? But she was so impressive here. You know I love this horse. She proved to Cheltenham running all wrong. She's exciting. She should improve plenty next season. Hurdles or chasing? We're kind of on her for chasing, aren't we? I think and I hope she goes chasing. The keeper over hurdles, there's a chance she could bump into Lossiemouth there, isn't there, in the mares? And as much as I love this horse, Lossiemouth's just faster, you know. But yeah, this was good and I love it. And hopefully she'll go chasing. She's got all the scope you want for chasing, you know. I think she probably will, but we don't know. 3 mile, Grade 1 Liverpool hurdle. Yeah, strong leader, beat Buddy 1 4.25 lengths. Hidden Valley Lake, another half a length back in third. It's a good result for his Ramblers, weren't it? I did mention a few. It's not like after timing, but I mentioned a few, didn't I? You know, if you took some of the prices there early on, I got a bit 8-1 for brighter days ahead. I did. Most of them horses I mentioned, a lot of them anyway, I did back ante-post, only for small stakes, because you don't know if they're going to run out, do you? I did lose a couple, to be honest. I had a little bit on Hill Atlantic each way for the 2 mile hurdle. And I had that Lucinda Russell horse at 33s in the 3 mile one, which were dropped up but didn't run anyway. So I did lose them stakes, but, you know, what I gained on the others sort of more than paid for that, really. Like, say, got 8-1 brighter days ahead, 12 strong leader, 14's Hidden Valley Lake, and yeah, a few others. But yeah, I mean, it's nice, isn't it, when you pick a horse. You know, we flagged this horse up, you know, a couple of months ago, Cleve Hurdle, didn't we? We flagged him up for this race, and it's nice when it works out. He's a big cumbersome thing, isn't he? And yeah, he's ideally suited to like flat tracks. Aintree's ideal for him, really. As such, I mean, he doesn't really come down hills, so, you know, they may skip Cheltenham again, and if they do, he'll be a big player here for next year. He could make this race his own, really, for the next couple of years. Hidden Valley Lake, he ran well in third, slightly raced 7-year-old, and he's, as such, there should be a bit more improvement in him. I'm not sure, they may give Fences another crack next season, we'll see. But yeah, he ran well here too. And then just before we get to the big race, pardon me, I'll just give this one a quick mention. The 2 mile Grade 1 Magill Novice Chase. Founder 50 beat Miss Master Chewy ahead. and they weren't a third here really either. Found a 50. Do you know, he's been super consistent this year, and he's not been out of the first two all season. Brilliant horse for connections, this. You do get that feeling, don't you? He's going to struggle against the sort of top class open chasers next season, but that champion chase, you never know, do you? It throws up funny results, and you know, I'd imagine it'll be a big old price for that. I haven't looked, but yeah, he turns up every day, doesn't he, and runs his race. There's a lot to be said for that, you know. Silent Approach, I'll just give her a quick mention. She was coming here off a break after she'd like quickly had 142 runs. Yeah, she weren't done any favours at the start, and they always looked to be going a sort of gear too quick for her, but she did stay on well from 2 out, and she could be interesting next time, sort of down in grade on slower ground. Yeah, she could be interesting next time now. The National then. Oh, I am Maximus. Oh. Yeah. He beat Delta Works 7.5 length here. Manila Indo third, Galvin fourth. This were a good result for his Ramblers, weren't it? And his jumping didn't matter, did it? As I suggested, the jumping didn't matter. I can say what I want here, can't I? It's only us Ramblers. There were no fallers here. No horse fell in the Grand National. No horse fell. Pardon me. It's a Mickey Mouse race, isn't it now? It is. It's a modern day, politically correct, namby-pamby sort of a race. With these Love Island fences, surgically sculpted, pleasing on the eye, but there's no real substance to them there, is there? There isn't. I think this race has lost its soul. It has. It's become a soulless, sterile, pale imitation of the awe-inspiring, spine-tingling race it once was. I watched growing up. Necessary changes. I don't know. Maybe they were. Maybe they were. And how I feel about it doesn't really matter, does it? It doesn't. But what matters for us is that last year the best handicapped horse in the race won it. This year the best handicapped horse in the race won it, and he beat 3 ex-Gold Cup horses in second, third and fourth. The first 4 here were rated 159, 157, 159 and 155. I listened to a lot of rubbish on the build-up to this race, I did. A little like Cheltenham, with a dilution of the quality, it's become a lot more predictable, hasn't it? It has. Which, as gamblers, as punters, it has, you know, it's just a high-end handicap now, it is, but it's unique in that it's an early closing race with no penalties, which presents us with a fantastic betting opportunity. It does. Like I say, I heard a lot of rubbish about this race, I did, on the build-up. The trends say this and that, and you need this and that. No. Next year, don't complicate it. Ignore all the chat and just back the best handicapped horse in the race, which will be clear to see more than likely, because it'll hosed up somewhere after the weights have come out. I mean, last year, Correct Rambler, he acted up in an Ultima, didn't he? I Am Maximus, he destroyed last year's runner-up in the Bobby Joe. you know, it were plain to see. You just had that jumping doubt. I mean, say you don't need to jump for a national, but such is Iron Maximus's jumping, you just, like I say, I weren't quite sure myself. It did hold me back a little bit on him. Yeah, if he were just an averagely bad jumper, you know, we'd have gone bigger on this. But yeah, but like any horse race, you do need to avoid bad luck. Things can go wrong. Any number of things can go wrong in a horse race. But what I would say is I think the Grand National has become the most predictable handicap in the entire racing calendar. It has, which is, it presents us with outstanding betting opportunities, it does. So we'll just bear that in mind for next year. Okay. It won't be too many years down the line. You can see horses going off 5-2 for this. You can, you know, but it'll take a little while maybe. And there's that much rubbish talked about in there. You need this and that. That, you know, for a little while we might be getting sort of 7, 8, 10-1 for these horses that should be sort of 5-2, 3-1 shots. You know, I mean, even after the race, you know, I've heard people say, "Oh, it's fantastic! All these horses in contention coming to 2 out and coming to the last." Jesus, if you were watching, if you know you're racing and you're watching Iron Maximus, they were only one winner, weren't they? From a fair way out, you could see, you know. Paul, though, he did give him a fantastic ride, didn't he? I mean, he had a solo virtually on the inside for much of the race. The Gold Cup, he's got the engine, hasn't he? But he won't get away with his jumping in a Gold Cup. 10 years ago, this horse would not have got around in a Grand National, would he? He did it a couple of fences and he would have come down. Next year, in a Gold Cup, you know, the fences at Cheltenham aren't what they were either, but they're a bit more than this, and he won't get away against the likes of a galloping, jumping like that. Although, you know, a lot of the race he did jump all right, didn't he? But he's going to clout the odd one. Unless he can iron that out, he'd be struggling for me in a Gold Cup. And that's that, really. That's that. But it has left us with a few interesting talking points, hasn't it? You know, it has. This race, it has blown the trainer's title wide open, hasn't it? It has. And that's just added another dimension, hasn't it, to this last few weeks of the season. It's going to be compelling viewing, it is. There's not much between these three, you know, Mullins, Skelton and Nichols. Yeah, it's going to be compelling viewing. You know, I did have a look yesterday at what's Willie got in some of these races. You can't help it, can you? And I did have a little on McDermott, but he's been well back now. I only had little bits on these because you don't know. I don't know if they're running or not, but he has been well back, McDermott. He's 137 which is £16 higher than his last win. But as I mentioned before, I was quite sweet on Better Times Ahead there. I thought he was fairly treated. And yeah, he just ran away from him, and he were miles clear of the third, so it looked a really good performance. That, I don't know what the weather's doing this week. I mean, that came on sort of bad ground, but they are giving it as heavy at the minute. Yeah, it's not a race I've gone through much in depth at all, but I did have a small bet on him. But yeah, the price has kind of gone now on him. I also had a small bet though on Spanish Harlem, who I think's an interesting horse. So no idea if these are running. They might not. I might have just done my money. But I think that, well, there is. I checked. There was still just a little bit of 20s, I think, at 365 still for this horse. He's rated 140 after just 3 runs over fences. Willie's always held him in some regard, this horse. He's always talked him up a little. And he seems to be improving with every run now. His last run was his best. He just came 3.5 lengths behind St. Felician. And he's shaping very much. He's had 3 runs round 2.5 mile. He's shaping very much to me like a stayer. He could improve plenty, stepped up in trip. He's entered on Saturday and in the 365 chase where he's like 50 to 1 or even 66ers. So I don't know, if I don't know where these horses are going, if they're going anywhere, I don't. But you'd imagine the way McDermott's been backed, he might be down to run. But yeah, it looks a cracking race. I've not looked through it in any depth, so I won't be. I'm not saying go out and definitely back these horses. I'm just telling you, I just had a little bit on him yesterday. The one though that, my main bet that I had, the one that, looking at these Willie horses, but the one that jumped out at me in the 365 chase, and that were Desert Moor House, and I'll put him up as a bet. I've had a bet on him. He's 16s now. He's 16s pretty much everywhere generally. As you may know, I had a little bit on him for the Irish National, but the ground went against him when he got took out of that. He didn't get in the English National. He's not entered in the Scottish National, but he is entered in this 365 chase. Hopefully the ground will have dried out a little by then. Hopefully. It's got to stop raining soon, hasn't it, surely? And if it does, I haven't read anything. I don't know if he's a definite intended runner, but he's entered there and he's 16 to 1. Yeah, I'd a bet on Desert Moor House. I'd put him up a bet there. I think he's not a bad bet at 16s. You take that ante-post risk, don't you? But if he turns up there, I don't think he'll be single figures anyway if he does run. And that's that really. We'll do a Punchestown preview in a couple of weeks' time, isn't it? Yes, so we'll do a Punchestown preview. Give you one horse there to look out for. I don't know, I think I've probably already mentioned this before. But yeah, Mr. Policeman. Yeah, I have. Yeah, Mr. Policeman for the 2.5 mile novice handicap chase. We'll be looking to get on him soon as the prices come out for that. I'd imagine he'll be put in favourite, but hopefully, we can get a bit of 5s or something anyway, Yeah, he'd want decentish ground as well, stepped up to 2.5 mile. I think you could see a lot of improvement in him. And Willie's got a fantastic record in that race, yeah. And that's that then, yeah. So I hope you enjoyed it anyway. Little bonus video there. And thanks for watching. I do appreciate your time, and I will see you just before Punchestown. Okay, all the best then, mate.